Edvard Braga with 2 second places, putting him on 30. Third in the leaderboard is Matteo Grattarola. He's on 21 points. Toby Martin currently 4th, but he is absent tonight on British Championship duty. An opportunity then for the riders directly behind Jaime Busto and Sondre Haga to make up ground. Busto on 13 championship points, Sondre Haga on 8, as is Benoit Bincaz of France and Gabriel Marseille of Spain, who is 8th in the championship standings on 1. Mikel Jalabert will be the first rider out through the sections tonight. That's because he's yet to feature, of course, in the championship in 2022. So yet to score his first championship points of the campaign. 8 riders then, with 6 sections to complete for the first time in 2022. They've got 6 minutes in which to complete them in the lowest possible score. 6 riders out of 8 will qualify through to the second round, and only 3 of those will qualify to tonight's grand final. Mikel Jalabert, 5th in his last X-Trial appearance. That was X-Trial Barcelona in November. Ahead of the likes of Matteo Grattarola and Toby Martin, who've both made the podium this season. So Jalabert will certainly be optimistic of a big result here tonight. Jalabert, who of course made his debut in the 2018 X-Trial campaign, scored a shock 2nd place in what was just his 3rd appearance at X-Trial Strasbourg, then recorded his 2nd podium a year later in Marseille, but his best results since then have been 2 4th places at the start of 2020. Course officials giving the OK now to get us underway with the first rider of the night, Mikel Jalabert. His first run, section number 1. Moment of nerves for the 24-year-old from Barcelona, making his way onto the first step nicely enough, making a step down. Clean so far for Mikel Jalabert. First mission accomplished. A series of islands of modules here for the riders to make their way through. Not much of a run up here for Jalabert to force his way through, but he does so nicely and without taking a mark for leaning. Remember, if the base or the engine plate touches the section, that will be a mark for leaning. Any part of the bike other than the tyres. The mudguard where necessary, of course, in terms of space. Jalabert makes the leap, again on the back wheel, tries to avoid taking a mark for leaning, but he has slid onto the sump. So it's a single mark for Mikel Jalabert. The toughest still to come. Down he goes, and he's out of the section. It's down to a 5 for Mikel Jalabert in section number 1. Said the toughest was still to come. He got himself caught pretty awkwardly there, but I'm sure he would have liked to get it up on the back wheel and jump down. As he does jump down, he overbalances, teeters, and then eventually bails out of the section. So straight up into section number 2 now for Mikel Jalabert. We saw how tough it was for Gabriel Marseille a week ago to open the sections with no reference points. Single mark for leading there, Mikel Jalabert. Just on the top of the first of our A-frames, lands it on the sump. Needs to steady the ship now after a 5 in his opening ride. This is looking much better though for Mikel Jalabert. Section 2 with just a single mark. That's more like it. 6 from 2 then for Mikel Jalabert, who will now move on to the cable reel, section number 3. Sizable step with which we open here, as you can see. Frustrating to leave the section first time out, but bouncing back nicely. Immediately takes a mark for leaning on the first of the cot reels. He's slipping back, and down he goes to a 5. Mikel Jalabert with 2 fiascos in the opening 3 sections. Well, I made the comparison with Gabriel Marseille being the first rider out a week ago in Chalon-sur-Saône and ending up bailing out in the opening round. Will the same fate befall Mikel Jalabert? It's not been a good start, although I will add that the difficulty level of the sections in Madrid tonight probably higher than anything we've seen in our 2 season opening rounds in France. Look at this, for example. Big challenge here. No run-up whatsoever, and Jalabert is straight down to a 5. That's going to be one of the toughest sections, I fancy, of this round number 1. So 3 failures in 4 sections for Mikel Jalabert. Section 1 he'll be frustrated about. That one, section 4, I think will be a tough nut to crack for the majority of the riders in this round number 1. Gelabert's only managed to make it through one section so far, section number 2. Man who finished 5th in the world in 2018 and 2019. At that stage on board Sherco machinery, of course. He's made a couple of switches of manufacturer to Vertigo in 2020, to Gas in 2021. Never had much time to acclimatise to those bikes before the X-Trial seasons, but this now is second campaign with Gas. He's hoping that that consistency of manufacturer will work in his favour. Section 5, elegant work there on the back wheel from Mikel Gelabert. That's the bulk of this one cracked, I think. Gelabert will be looking for a clean now in section number 5. He's cautious with that final leap, and he is through clean in the penultimate section of his opening ride. 16 marks then from 5 sections for Mikel Gelabert. One to go. Plenty of time on the clock because of those early failures in sections 3 and particularly section 4. Big step with which to open. Gelabert was almost up, but he is down. And it's a 5 mark score in section number 6. It's a 21 mark finishing total. 2 sections he managed to make it through out of 6. And I think Gelabert would have been hoping for a great deal more than that on what is his debut for this 2022 campaign. Short and sweet, Mikel Gelabert's reaction over the public address system here in the Madrid arena. I think he'll be pretty disappointed with that showing. Didn't get off to a good start with a failure in section number 1. There was some elegant work, though, here in section 2, and then later in section 5 as well. Is that wave at the end of his first run also a wave goodbye to the spectators in Madrid tonight? That remains to be seen. 21 marks then the target total for Gabriel Marseille, who's the second rider out into the sections here this evening. Marseille, who was 8th and last at X-Trial Chalon-sur-Saône last weekend, a real shock. Man who finished 2nd in his previous appearance at X-Trial Barcelona back in November. Said he was nervous first out through the sections in France, and said really it showed. Back-to-back failures kicked off his run. He was unable to recover from there. He's got the advantage now of having seen Mikel Gelabert open the track tonight. Although Gelabert didn't manage to get all the way through in 4 of the sections, of course, just 2. Completed successfully by Mikel Gelabert. Gabriel Marseille then. Makes his way successfully through that first step. So though did Mikel Gelabert. It was on the 3rd of these modular islands that Gelabert got himself into difficulties. First landing on the sump, then falling forwards and having to go out of the section to avoid falling face first, frankly. Gabriel Marseille taking his time. He's up eventually, top of that second island. Now it's about this technical challenge. He too will land it on the sub, a single mark for leaning. Will he take a slightly different approach here? Certainly looks like it. He's sliding across on the sub, putting himself at a very different angle to that which we saw from Mikel Gelabert. Still a single mark, of course. He hasn't made any forward progress whilst leaning on that sub. That's more like it. Avoids the pitfall of Gelabert before him. This is still a big step though. And again, not much of a run-up. Very small platform there for Marseille. Up he goes. He's done it! Gabriel Marseille with a beautiful ride there in section number 1. It's just a single mark for leaning. Immediately gives himself an important advantage over Mikel Gelabert, the first man out. Good start for Marseille, unlike a week ago in Chalon-sur-Saône. Section number 2 now. So Mikel Gelabert take a mark for leaning on the first of the A-frames, which is the next task for Gabriel Marseille. building himself up. A little bit short. Great balance being shown on the back wheel. Makes the lead now. Single mark for leading, just as it was for Mikel Jalabert before him. Won't want to drop any further ground now in this section. Gabriel Marseille on the turn. Nicely done. One final leap, and then it's the exit gate for Gabriel Marseille. 2 sections done and dusted. Both of them completed successfully. A single mark in each. Marseille moves on to 2. Mikel Jalabert was on 6 already at this stage. Only 4 failures now would leave Marseille behind where we saw from Mikel Jalabert before. A little bit of a tangle there for Marseille at the start of section 3. A single mark for leaning and another for footing. We saw the foot go down, so it's 2 marks now for Gabriel Marseille on the cable in section 3. We saw these in a slightly different configuration in Chalon-sur-Saône last week. The edges of those cable reels really catching riders out on that occasion for marks for leaning. Spotted bother there for Marseille as the section moved underneath the weight of the machine. Presses on nicely, rushes through to the finish. Efficient ride late on in section 3 from Gabriel Marseille. Immediately down at the start of section 4. Wouldn't surprise me if that was slightly tactical. I suspect that that section is going to be beyond the reach of the vast majority of riders. And Marseille may well feel that he wants to give himself the best possible time to try and tackle sections 5 and 6 that look a great deal more achievable. Taking a breather, Marseille, he'd already left his bottle in prime position just after the halfway point in his opening run. Gabriel Marseille then. 9 marks, 4 sections so far. Single dab in each of the opening 2. 2 marks score in section 3, 1 for leaning, 1 for footing. First failure in section 4. Section 5, this one was clean by Mikel Jalabert. Marseille already guaranteed to beat Jalabert. Even if he scored 2 failures now, he'd move on to 19. That's still 2 better than Jalabert before him. Mikel Jalabert very much in the danger zone. First rider out through the section. Gabriel Marseille drops a single mark there. First mark we've seen dropped in this section 5 because Jalabert was clean. Now it's about careful riding through the remainder of this section, almost a straight run, but some precision required, and some precision delivered by Gabriel Marseille. Just a single mark in section 5. He moves on to 10 from 5 and 1 to go. Comfortably clear of Marseille, of Jalabert rather, because he doesn't know whether this is going to be enough to qualify. The second rider out through the section. Gabriel Marseille, section number 6, looking to really lay down a marker. See it from that wide shot, the extent of that leap at the start of the section. Puts down his right foot there, Marseille. A mark for leaning as well. So landing on the sump, plus the foot going down. It's 2 marks for Marseille. Race now and a scramble to the exit gate. How does he approach this? Try to leap as soon as he gets across this first cylinder. No, front wheel down, he'll bridge. 17 seconds still on the clock. It's going to be tight, but he can take his time here. Only 1 more step to come. 10 seconds to go for Gabriel Marseille. He's up. It's a single mark for leading, but he's through. With 5 seconds to spare, Gabriel Marseille. It'll be 3 marks in section 6. Another for leading there at the end. But a 13-mark total. That's 8 clear of Mikel Jalabert, and that puts him in a very strong position as a candidate for qualification inside the top 6 here this evening. Good ride that from Gabriel Marseille. Just 1 section proved beyond his reach, section 4. Single dab in sections 1 and 2. 2 marks in section 3. And then that becomes the first rider to get through to section 6. So 3 sections there that Mikel Jalabert failed, all completed successfully by Gabriel Marseille. 4 failures out of 6 for Jalabert. Only 1 failure for Marseille. Big difference between the 2 of them. 8 marks in terms of the points. Next up is Benoit Bincaz. The Frenchman already on the comeback trail, of course, from injuries over the last 2 years. He's picked up another couple of knocks in the opening rounds of this 2022 campaign. Had a crash in section 3 of his first run in Chalon-sur-Saône last weekend, twisted his right leg and knee particularly awkwardly. That crash the main reason he failed to make progress out of the bottom 2. If he beats the 13-mark score here, he is guaranteed his place in round 2 for Extra Madrid here in the Madrid Arena. 6 minutes for 6 sections. Because perhaps a little bit short on that first leap, but manages to force the bike forward. That first step not posing any great difficulties to the riders so far. Single drop mark there for footing. The right foot goes down for Benoit Bincaz. None of the riders previously had dropped a mark there, so that will be a source of frustration for him. Another mark drop there for leaning by my reckoning, although the section observer Jordi Sanchez has been more generous than I perhaps would have been, and he is still on just 1. Step now for Benoit Bincaz. This is the challenge. Oh, and down he goes! He tried a different approach to Mikel Jalabert, who landed it on the sump and then tried to balance his way down. Benoit Bincaz tried to do it all in one fluid motion, and down he went out of the section. Failure in section 1 for Benoit Bincaz. Far from ideal start. The man who currently sits 7th in the championship classification. Section 2 then. Both Mikel Jalabert and Gabriel Marseille took just a single mark here, and it was on the first of these 3 A-frames. Bincaz with the leap, and he too lands it on the sump for a single mark score. Moves him up to 6. Mikel Jalabert was on the same score at the same stage, so Bincaz won't want to drop any more marks in the remainder of this second section. Building himself up nicely. You can see the rear mudguard completely broken by Bincaz's awkward fall in section number 1. Here he goes in section 2, single drop mark. His assistant just taking off the fractured piece of mudguard there before he embarks on section number 3. 6 marks from 2 then, same score as Jalabert at the same stage. No, that piece of rear mudguard still flailing around as Benoit Bincaz presses on. Section 3, completed successfully by Gabriel Marseille. Mikel Jalabert failed here. Bincaz with an opportunity to move above Jalabert, clear of him, get a result in this. Nice work there from Benoit Bincaz. This is more like it from the Frenchman. Marseille struggled in this one to 2 marks, but battled his way through. Bincaz is going to take 1 there for leading. That's his first drop mark of this section. The most and best of anyone through this section number 3 is Benoit Bincaz of France. Taking his time at the end of this section, drops another there for leading, but he is through. 2 marks, that moves him on to 8. 3 better than Mikel Jalabert at the halfway stage of his opening run. Straight down to a 5 at the start of section 4. 2 to go. Section 5. Bincaz 4 marks down on Gabriel Marseille at the same stage. Both of them on 13. Bincaz still with 2 sections to ride. Any further drop marks and he will drop behind Marseille, and that will guarantee that Gabriel Marseille progresses through to round 2 of Extra Madrid. 2.5 minutes. A swift failure at the start of section 4, leaving Bincaz with plenty of time. Bincaz going down! Down in section 5, where the 2 riders before him had successfully made it through, and now it's all or nothing in section 6. Bincaz on 18, Jalabert, remember, finished on 21. If Benoit Bincaz scores a failure here in section 6, he will go behind Mikel Jalabert in the standings. 3 marks would put him level with Jalabert, and we'll see how things pan out from there. Single drop mark for leaning at the start of section 6 then, a crucial section 6 now for Benoit Bincaz. He might have accepted being behind Marseille after a strong ride from him, but he won't want to be behind Mikel Jalabert as well, who suffered 4 fiascos. Clumsy from Bincaz in section 5, his 3rd failure of the run. A 4th would send him 2 marks behind Mikel Jalabert. Only 5 riders still to come, of course. 1 minute 10 now on the clock for Benoit Bincaz. That'll be another mark for leading, I fancy. 2 marks then. 1 final step to come for Benoit Bincaz. Moves on to 20. 1 more to play with, and he'll tie with Mikel Jalabert.
En esta ronda, en esta fase 1. Tomándose el tiempo en esta ocasión porque tiene suficiente tiempo para dar la salida.
If he gets through this section, he will be ahead of Mikel Jalabert on a count back on time. Up he goes, it is a single mark. Benoit Bincaz has just about squeezed through ahead of Mikel Jalabert. We'll wait for official confirmation of that. The pair will tie on 21, but by my reckoning, Mikel Jalabert failed at section 6. Will lose out on countback to Benoit Bincaz. So the provisional standings, Marseille 13, Bincaz 21, Jalabert 21 as well. So Gabriel Marseille is confirmed in round number 2. Benoit Bincaz started well enough in section 2 and 3, getting through both of them with the same scores as Gabriel Marseille, but he failed section 1 and then failed sections 4 and 5 consecutively. Had he failed section 6 as well, he would have gone to the bottom of the pile, so it was crucial that he make it out through there. And he does so 1 position then ahead of Mikel Jalabert at the end of his run. And whether Benoit Bincaz now progresses to the 2nd round may well depend on the efforts of Sondre Haga, the next man out. Gabriel Marseille 13, Benoit Bincaz 21, Mikel Jalabert likewise 21, but loses out to Bincaz because of his failure in section 5. On now to Sondre Haga, one of the stars of the show last weekend certainly. Progressing past the opening round of competition for the first time, and he was as high as 4th after his opening run in Chalon-sur-Saône, only to drop back behind Matteo Grattarola later on in the night. Single drop mark there for leading at the start of section 1 for Sondre Haga. Landing on the sump, but making the turn from here. The level of difficulty in the section only gets higher. Leap here, and then a descent that's pulled out a couple of riders already. 2 riders failed this section, 1 out of 3. Mikel Jalabert and Benoit Bincaz were both down for a 5. Haga with some good work, but he's overreached on the descent, and down he goes out of the section. 5 mark score in section 1. Not disastrous just yet for the Norwegian, because the 2 men he's got to beat, Mikel Jalabert and Benoit Bincaz, both dropped a 5 mark score there. Section 2 now. This one has taken each of the 3 riders so far for a single dab. A mark for leaning on the first of the 8. Haga is up and into section 2. Decision now required. Maybe high-scoring first run thus far. Demonstrating the difficulty level of these sections, as I suggested would be the case. Haga is up. It's a little bit short, but the weight carries him forward, and he remains in the section. Almost dropped off the edge of the A-frame there, and could have been disastrous, but he brings it back. Sondre Haga looking good to exit section number 2 with just a single mark, matching Mikel Jalabert, Gabriel Marseille and Benoit Bincaz before him.
Entrando zona 3.
Section 3 then for Sondre Haga. This one saw Mikel Jalabert suffer a failure. Gabriel Marseille and Benoit Bincaz were both through with 2 marks to their name. Single mark so far for Sondre Haga. Later on in the section that Benoit Bincaz dropped his marks. Another mark for Lee. Score of 2 so far for Sondre Haga. That'll be 3. Any further drop marks and this will be a failure. Important final step now for Sondre Haga. He's got to do it without dropping any marks for leaning. It needs to be a big leap. Up he goes. Actually, he balances carefully, but that's going to be another mark for leaning, and that's a failure in section number 3. Moves him on to 11. Mikel Jalabert was on the same score at the same stage. Immediate failure at the start of section 4, as per the 3 riders before him. So Sondre Haga on to 16, so already can't beat Gabriel Marseille. He's got 5 marks to play with against Mikel Jalabert and Benoit Bincaz. Can he get through both sections 5 and 6 and become the second rider to book his place in round 2 of Extra Madrid? Benoit Bincaz might be able to breathe a sigh of relief that he just squeezed home at the end of section 6 ahead of Mikel Jalabert. It was not lost just yet for Sondre Haga. He got out of the first round of competition for the first time last time out. That's going to be a mark for leaning, and it's an awkward mark for leaning. And if he twists awkwardly here, he could fall backwards out of the section. But he's managed to just about stay in and continue to press on. Single mark for leaning. Mikel Jalabert was clean through here, so Haga, great work there from Sondre Haga, rushing through. Others took a more measured approach. This will leave Sondre Haga on 17 marks from 5 sections. If he gets through section 6, he will go through to the second round. Single mark then, 17 the score. It's all down to section 6 for Sondre Haga. He's on 17, 4 behind Gabriel Marseille, but 4 up on Benoit Bincaz and Mikel Jalabert. So if he makes it through this section 6, it will be a total of 20 or better. If he fails here, though, Sondre Haga will go behind both Bincaz and Jalabert, and that will confirm Bincaz's progression. Haga is up, but he's slipping backwards. He's taken a mark for leading, 1 for footing, and down he goes! Sondre Haga down in section number 6. That confirms the safe progression of Benoit Bincaz through to round 2 here this evening. Just a single mark separating Bincaz, Jalabert and Haga at the bottom of the standings. But it's Mikel Jalabert and Sondre Haga who's now slipped into the drop zone. This is the failure from section 1 for Sondre Haga. Too much momentum carrying him out of the course boundaries, and a 5-mark score first time out. Steadies the ship in section 2. Section 3, the second rider to fail there. Section 4, seemingly impossible for all of the riders so far. Good ride in section 5, but section 6 proving critical. And a fall at the opening to it leaves him a single mark behind Bincaz and Mikel Jalabert, and very much in danger now, I fancy, of elimination. As you would suggest, is Mikel Jalabert at present. Gabriel Marseille and Benoit Bincaz both safely through to round 2. Over then to Jaime Busto, representative of Vertigo in this Extra World Championship. It's been a very disappointing start to 2022 for him. Never looked like making the podium in Nice. 2 failures in his first run left him well back. And he was somewhat fortunate in the end to finish 4th. And last weekend he was in contention to progress, and suffered a late collapse with a crash in section 4 of his second run. That ended his night. Jaime Busto then 5th in the championship standing, set to move 4th tonight in the absence of Toby Martin. Section number 1. No rider's been clean through this one so far. Only Gabriel Marseille has made it through. Mikel Jalabert, Benoit Bincaz and Sondre Haga all failing this one. The second island, 5 here. Up he goes on the back wheel. The landing needs to be precise. It is. Makes the turn so that he can bridge to the penultimate island. of section
De
1.
momento va limpio, de momento va
Biggest
cero.
step of the section now to come for Jaime Busto. Not much of a run-up, as I said previously. Marseille made it superbly. Only one to do so far. Big rev from Busto, forces his way up. Single drop bar for Jaime Busto in section number 1. Great start for him. On now to section 2. This one about consolidation. Everyone's dropped a single mark so far. Oh, Busto down! In a section that all 4 riders before him had successfully completed. And suddenly Busto has an awful lot of work to do. Ironically, in the vertigo section as well. Almost caught his minder in the face with his right foot as he fell from the section. On the very first step, perhaps overthinking the A-frames that were still to come. And Busto goes down in section 2. First rider to fail section 2. Now he needs to keep a cool head and bring himself back into contention. Jalabert, Vincaz and Haga were all on 6 marks at this stage, so far from disastrous for Busto, as long as he gets it right for the remainder of this run. Section 3, cable reels, failed by Mikel Jalabert, failed by Sondre Haga. Marseille and Vincaz both made it through with 2 drop marks. Jaime Busto, you can see the section moving there as Busto tries to balance himself. The Basque rider, single drop mark there for leaning a little bit short on the landing. All the best of anyone so far through this section 3. Good work on the back wheel there, beautiful from Jaime Busto. It was tight there on the exit gate actually, but Busto makes it through with a single drop mark. Best result of anyone so far in section number 3. Immediately fails section 4. 12 then from 4 sections. And if he gets through either of the remaining 2, Jaime Busto will be through to the second round tonight. Not convincing in section 2, that was disappointing. 12 marks. Haga and Jalabert 16 at the same stage. Even 3 marks here would be enough for Jaime Busto to book his place in the second round of Extra Madrid. Not a strong lap, and it could... Oh dear! So he's still in the section. No, he isn't. He's down for a 5. Listen, keeps it on the island, so it's 3 at the moment, but that is definitely down for a 5. Busto was looking over at the section observer, trying to ascertain whether he'd already received a 5 or whether he was still in the section. Only the second rider to fail section 5. Another failure here, and Busto will be eliminated. 3 marks and he'll be through, but it will have been a scrappy first run, and it will surely leave him with work to do if he does make it to the second round. He's up with a single mark for leaning on the first step of section number 6. Well, I must admit that in my pre-event predictions, I said that tonight was the night for Busto's first podium of 2022. It's not looking good at the moment, is it? 3 marks down on Gabriel Marseille before coming into this section 6. He's dropped 1 so far. That final step is going to be yes or no for Jaime Busto for progression to the second round tonight. If he makes it through this section, he is through. If he fails this section, he drops into the bottom 2. Jaime Busto, 1.5 minutes, no issues on time. It's all about getting through. His final barrels at the end of section number 6. He's landed it on the sub. He's got to force the bike forward. He does so. It's 2 marks in section 6, and Jaime Busto becomes the 3rd rider to book his place in the second round of competition this evening. 19 marks, a scrappy section 2 in particular, a disappointing failure in section 5.
Nos haces sufrir mucho, Jaime. Nos haces ahí un 5 en la zona vértigo. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa, Jaime? ¿Qué pasa, Madrid? ¡Venga, aplauso para Jaime! Nunca habías competido en Madrid, primera vez que estás aquí. ¿Cómo te sientes en Madrid, en este X-Trial de Madrid?
Bueno, con este público la verdad que todo el mundo se siente como en casa.
¡Venga, vamos, Jaime! ¡Vamos, Jaime!
Jaime Busto then finishes his run with 19 marks. That's clear of Benoit Vincaz and Mikel Jalabert. 3 clear of those 2 and 4 clear of Sondre Haga. to book his place in round number 2 this evening. We'll head into the second round, though 5 marks back on Gabriel Marseille. The main point of difference between them was that 5-mark score for Jaime Busto in section 2. Again, inconsistency from Jaime Busto. Section 2 completed successfully by the 4 previous riders. He goes and fails it after a great ride in section 1. And then a failure in section 5 that again, only Benoit Bincaz previously had failed under the first 4 riders through. Salvages it in section 6 and thanks to his earlier strong ride in section 1. So the pecking order now: Gabriel Marseille 13, Jaime Busto 18, Benoit Bincaz 21. Those 3 definitely through to the second round. Mikel Gelabert 21 and Sondre Haga 22 are in the drop zone. On to Matteo Grattarola. The Italian third at Extra Nice 3 weeks ago. The first podium of his Extra career, age 34. Showed more of that form in a fantastic second run at Extra Chalon-sur-Saône last week. 3 fiascos in his first outing, though, had left him too far back to qualify. He could only recover to 4th. Key for him tonight will be to have a strong run first time out and not leave himself with so much work to do to try and battle back into the top 3. Matteo Grattarola, key moment of section 1 here, on the back wheel, makes the turn and the landing. Work from Grattarola. Pulls the bike back now on this step. 2 riders have made it through this section 1, both with a single mark, Gabriel Marseille and Jaime Busto. It's a pretty sizable step. Main element of section number 1. Up he goes. Grattarola, set to be the first rider clean through section 1. Brilliant start from Matteo Grattarola. Only had 1 clean in all of the sections combined up to now. That was Mikel Gelabert in section 5. That's only the second. And the first rider clean through section 1 is Matteo Grattarola. On start. Section 2 now. 4 riders have dropped a single mark through this one. Does Grattarola just take that single mark on the A-frame, or does he try to do something different on the back wheel and attempt to remain clean in his opening run? Well, it looks like he's trying to force himself forward. No, he too falls short, lands on the sub, and takes a single mark for leaning. It's a big launch to try and force yourself all the way across. And land it carefully on the back wheel, and all of that without falling forward, of course. So Matteo Grattarola drops his first mark of the run. Still looking good, though. Been straightforward for all of the riders from this point on, and it is too for Matteo Grattarola. Single drop mark in section 2. That's 1 better than Gabriel Marseille at the same stage. Now over to section 3. 2 riders have failed this one, Mikel Gelabert and Sondre Haga. Jaime Busto doing a good job of the cable reels last time out with just a single mark. Single mark just at the start of the section for Matteo Grattarola. This is looking clumsy. Another mark for footing there. If he's not careful, any further drop marks are going to be a failure here for Grattarola. I make that 3 already. That's a 4, so that's a failure in section 3. Didn't see that coming. Only Gelabert and Haga, who are the 2 men in the drop zone at the moment, failed that section before Grattarola. This could well be another failure now for the Italian. Section 4 hasn't been completed by anyone yet, and nor will it be completed by Matteo Grattarola. 11 marks then for 4, only 2 ahead of Gabriel Marseille. But unless it's 2 failures, Matteo Grattarola would be safe. Section 5 then. This one about booking his place at the next stage, and from there he could focus on keeping his score as low as possible with the second round of competition in mind. At the moment, if he beats Gabriel Marseille, he will be in the top 3 regardless going into the second round, and will have an opportunity to defend a top 3 place. First drop mark of this section 5 for Grattarola, left foot goes down. So any more marks and he will be tied with Marseille. Good work there on the back wheel. The race to the exit gate now for Matteo Grattarola. This will be enough for him to book his place in round number 2. 12 marks from 5 sections, bouncing back from back-to-back failures. And thankfully for Matteo Grattarola, it was a strong performance in section 1. So even a failure here would still leave him ahead of Jaime Busto. His direct fight at the moment is with Gabriel Marseille for the lead of this opening round. Grattarola 12, Marseille finished on 13. Everyone's dropped marks in this section, and it's going to be a 5 for Grattarola in section 6. Third rider to fail that section. Finishes his run on 17 marks, but he is through to the second round, where he will have 4 marks to make up on Gabriel Marseille. Marseille 13, that's looking like a very strong performance. Matteo Grattarola 17, 1 ahead of Jaime Busto. Benoit Bincaz will progress to the second round tonight. Mikel Jalabert and Sondre Haga still in the drop zone, 21 and 22 respectively.
Está bastante bien con mi pie y la última es un error mío y me ha costado un poco. Vamos a ver si estoy en el primero 6 cualificado.
¿Cómo te sientes en Madrid? ¿Cómo te sientes en Madrid? Dile Madrid, 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 Madrid.
Just watching back Matteo Grattarola's first run, and he was far from pleased with that. Thinking back to Nice when he was really on the pace with the likes of Raga and Beau, Chalon-sur-Saône. The second run he was on the pace with the big guns as well. Not a particularly competitive first run, but 4 marks to make up on Gabriel Marseille. Remember, there's 6 sections in round 2 tonight as well. And there's every chance that Grattarola could yet qualify through inside the top 3 and make it through to tonight's grand final. So we move on to the big 2. Top 2 in the World Championship. Second at present and second for the last 7 years, Adam Raga. Occupying, as I said, that same position in 2022 thus far. 13 championship points. His deficit to top spot coming into Extra Madrid. 4 times a world champion himself, of course, Adam Raga. He's the better, 21 marks to book his place through to the second round. 13 marks at the moment is the best score. Remember, there's a world championship point up for grabs for the top performer in each round of competition. And then the big 20 to the winner of Extra Madrid in today's grand final. Adam Raga hoping to show how it's done. Efficient work thus far in section 1. Failed by 3 riders out of the 6 riders who've tackled it thus far. Matteo Grattarola was the first rider through clean. Adam Raga looking to match it. DRS man at the bottom of the section here. Gives it a big handful and up he goes. Adam Raga, second rider clean in section 1. Adam Raga enjoying the applause of the spectators here in Madrid. Has fond memories of this city. Sealed his first world title here back in 2003. Second that night in Extra Madrid, but he is twice a winner of the event. Back in 06 and 07. Also at a different venue. System looks to be pushing the section there to hold it in position, as it seemed to move under the weight of Raga's bike. Nice work that from Adam Raga. Gets through the A-frames without dropping a mark. Could he be the first rider clean here through section number 2? It certainly looks like it. Adam Raga, great work in section 2. He is still clean in this, his opening run. Raga looking good then. Fresh from securing his 40th consecutive extra podium last weekend. Chalon-sur-Saône, it was an excellent performance from him. Separated from Tony Beau by just a single mark all night. Hasn't yet taken a World Championship point from Beau though. And as I said previously, trailing by 13, the target will be for him to try and win each of the rounds of the competition, particularly the grand final, of course. The 5-point margin, I should say, to gain for the winner of the grand final. Section 3 then. Nobody yet has been clean through this one, but nobody had been clean through section 2 before Adam Raga just showed how it was done. Jaime Busto with a single drop mark in this section, the best performer of anyone through here. Adam Raga drops his first mark of the run, landing on the something. 3 minutes still to go though. A little bit behind on time perhaps. And that rather depends on what he can do in section number 4, because nobody's made it past the opening step of that one. Beautiful work on the back wheel there from Raga. That will help his cause in terms of time, won't it? Straight into section number 4. He obviously feels that one is too difficult to attempt as well. 6 marks then from 4 sections for Adam Raga. 7 marks ahead of Gabriel Marseille with 2 sections remaining. Be fascinating to see whether Tony Bow can manage that section 4. None of the others have. Will Bow be able to make the difference? That really would raise the roof of the Madrid arena. Penultimate section of his opening run then, Adam Raga banked some time with an early failure in section 4. So he's got 2 minutes for 2 sections now. This twist and turn from Adam Raga. Next bit is all about technical ability. Raga's got that in spades. Big leap forward. 1 step still to go. 1.5 minutes on the clock for Adam Raga. Safely through in section number 5. Another brilliant ride from Adam Raga. Third clean of the run. 6 marks then. And he will go provisionally top of the leaderboard regardless of his result in this one, section 6. Just over a minute to go then. 3 riders have failed this one. We saw Matteo Grattarola fall at the first hurdle really on this opening step. And Raga hoping to... Oh dear! Raga goes down on the first step as well. That's a bit of a surprise actually. 11 marks then is the finishing total for Adam Raga. I was just about to say he was looking good to bank a sizable advantage over Grattarola heading into the second round. It's only 6 marks ahead of Grattarola. It's 2 better than Gabriel Marseille. Raga goes top of the standings. But he might feel that he's in danger of losing another World Championship point to Tony Bow after his failure there in section 6 in particular.
Muy contento de volver a estar aquí en Madrid para una prueba que para todo el mundo. Es importante tener esta cita y estamos muy contentos.
¿Cómo es el trial? ¿Cómo es las zonas? ¿Cómo es el recorrido?
Bien, las zonas están muy bien. Estar en Madrid al medio es muy difícil y bueno, he todo bastante bien. Lástima el error que he cometido en la última, que creo que era factible.
Aplauso.
Adam Raga just explaining to the spectators here in the Madrid arena that he's a little bit frustrated by that, what he could call the mistake in section 6, in a section that he felt was achievable. Section 4 he obviously feels wasn't, because he wasn't disappointed about that. The rest of his ride was strong. Single drop mark in section 3. 3 cleans in sections 1, 3 and 5. Nobody had managed more than 1 clean previously. So 3 for Raga, he takes the lead of round 1. Gabriel Marseille though got through section 6, so he pulls back 2 marks, Marseille there through that final section. Adam Raga leads on 11, Gabriel Marseille 13, Matteo Grattarola 17, Jaime Busto 18, Benoit Bincaz and Mikel Gelabert 21. Gelabert and Sondre Hager on 22 are in the drop zone, and Hager will not qualify to the second round. That is now confirmed. Tony Bow. Convincing winner at Extra Chalon-sur-Saône last weekend. Had the event wrapped up after section 5 in the final after a failure there for Adam Raga. Bono also dropped his first points of the season to Toby Martin in the opening round of the night. But 13 points his championship lead Tony Bow as he embarks on section 1. Of course, if he scores better than Adam Raga's 11, then he will take another World Championship point and extend that lead to 14. Silence descends over the Madrid arena as Tony Bow works wonders on the back wheel. For a moment there I thought he was going to slip backwards, but this is Tony Bow, this is no mere mortal. This section completed clean by Matteo Grattarola and Adam Raga. That's the target for Tony Bow here. You can see Raga watching on. Catching his breath no doubt before his second run as well. Bo is up, and he too is clean in section 1, so that's 3 riders in a row clean through there. Now on to section 2. The only rider who's made it clean through that second section is Adam Raga, who went on to finish on a score of 11. See how Bo manages this A-frame that's brought out all of the riders other than Adam Raga. Building it up on the back wheel, makes the leap. Oh, beautiful from Tony Bo. Still clean. Racing on through. Oh, too easy for Tony Bo. Matches Adam Raga clean through the opening 2 sections. Section 3 then, his first opportunity to move ahead of Raga. Raga dropped a single mark through this one. Looking for a very nearly touched the sump on the bottom of that cable reel there, but just about pulled the bike back in time. Longer sections this evening, and if Tony Bo does end up making it through the opening step of section 4, time could be a problem later on. Single mark for leaning there. Several riders have had to land it on the sump on that one. Bo is no exception then. Come down to sections 4 and 6 as to whether Tony Bo can beat Adam Raga in the opening round of competition. Swift work late on. I think he has to rush it because of his position in terms of time. First drop mark. The crowd urging him on now. Tony Bo is partway up in section 4. That in itself earns some applause. Carlos Berneda now, his assistant, watching on. Can Tony Bo force his way up to the top of this section? Failed by 7 riders already tonight. Bo is up! Oh, he's down! He's got much closer than anyone else, though, to making it. He landed it on the sump at lead. If he could have just got his weight forward, might have been able to try and force the bike up. Tony Bo proving he's human, down for his first failure of the run. Every rider then has failed section 4. Into section 5 now. This one cleaned by Mikel Jalabert and Adam Raga. Failed by Benoit Bincaz and Jaime Busto. 6 marks, the score. Tony Bo is already safely through to the second round this evening. Almost goes without saying, doesn't it? But Mikel Jalabert and Sondre Haga will be eliminated, 7th and 8th positions respectively.
Minutos 30, pasa limpio. Salida.
Bo escapes through section number 5 clean, so it will come down to section 6 for who takes the World Championship points as the top seed from round number 1. A 5-mark score here for Tony Bo, and he would be level pegging with Adam Raga, and it would be level on countback as well, so by my reckoning it would be Raga who would gain the advantage. Bo with a stuttering start, that's a surprise. He's going to jump back to have another go. He's got to keep the axle of the front wheel inside the section, which he does, so a single drop mark already for Tony Bo. Second attempt at this first step, and again he's down, and Tony Bo is down for a 5-mark score in section number 6. And it leaves him tied with Adam Raga on 11, and by my reckoning that will give Adam Raga the World Championship points, the bonus points, as top seed in round number 1. All tied, Adam Raga and Tony Bo. They were in the opening 2 rounds of competition in Chalon-sur-Saône last weekend. And they are again tonight at Extra Madrid.
Volver a estar aquí desde el 2012 y nada, hemos dado por el 100%, hemos entrado un poco nerviosos con algún fallo de más. Vamos a seguir la segunda vuelta. Muchas gracias a todos.
Gracias, Madrid. Tony Bo.
A little bit of a mistake, more than was needed. Tony Bo implies there, and I think he'll be referring to section number 6 because we did see Gabriel Marseille, Benoit Bincaz, Jaime Busto all make it through that section. Grattarola, Raga and Bo, the top 3 in the World Championship, failing in section 6. And that leaves us with a pretty close 4 pecking order actually heading into round 2. Remember, the scores will carry over into the second round tonight. Not for Mikel Jalabert and Sondre Haga, of course, who will be eliminated in 7th and 8th positions respectively. 6 men marching on then. Adam Raga, top scorer in round number 1, claims a World Championship bonus point. He edges out Tony Bow on countback. Gabriel Marseille is third at present, 4 marks ahead of Matteo Grattarola. That's an advantage. He'll be looking to defend it over his second run. Jaime Busto with 5 marks to find on Marseille, and Benoit Bicaz some way further back on 21, 8 marks adrift of Marseille. The top 3, the all-important positions after the second round. The points will be carried over to the second phase of competition coming up shortly here at Extra Madrid.
Campeón del mundo UCI de trial bike, y también Alejandro